Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, I guess, wherever you are in the world. I'm really excited to introduce and to start this webinar, first of all, with the CEO of A Migration Advisory Services, Gilda. Hello, good afternoon to you. How are you doing?
Hello, Robin. I'm doing fine.
Brilliant. Thank you very
Although
much.
the sun is not shining today, which is something rare in Portugal, but everything is fine.
300 days a year. Well, look, we just got loads of people joining. I can see them joining as we speak. So let's just give that a few seconds more because the numbers have climbed. We've got a great number of registrations. So thank you all, first of all, for joining. Um, Probably a great way to start this. I mean, first of all, it should take about 30 minutes. And I know time's of the essence for everybody. Gilda is going to, first of all, introduce A Migration Advisory Services, so what they do, based in Portugal, obviously. And then we're going to run through the kind of most popular visa programs that are not golden visas. So the D2, the D7, and the D8 visa. And Gilda's very kindly going to go through those with us. And we've got a number of questions as well. We'll get some questions coming in, I'm sure, during the session. Just go to the chat box, post a question in there, and we'll endeavour to answer those at the end of the session. Okay. Gilda, can I ask you to introduce yourself and go from there?
Yes, sure. So I'm Gilda Pereira, and I'm the founder and CEO of which was considered the first migration agency in Portugal. There wasn't anything like this model before in Portugal that is a firm only focused on migration matters. And we've just turned 10 years old this last month. And I think that we had innovate a lot with about migration, and we have helped the different governments along these 10 years how to look at migration and how to look at investment in Portugal and how to make things easier for everyone to come to Portugal.
Great, great. Well, congratulations on your 10th birthday, so to speak.
Thank you.
So we obviously, in terms of the most popular D2, D7, D8, would you like to run through those and give us some idea of how they work?
Yes, sure. So we are going to talk about some general informations about visas, the D2, D7, and D8, and then the compounding visas, and then we do some final considerations. So the first thing that I wanted to let you know is that there is a big difference between living in Portugal and applying for the golden visa. If you choose to live in Portugal, you need to apply for a D type of visa. The D means residency. Okay, so if you know that you want to move to Portugal and you want to live in Portugal and relocate to Portugal with your family, you should make a consultation with a professional to try to know which is the type of visa that suits you better. The golden visa is for people that don't want to live in Portugal but want to make an investment, and with that investment will have a residency permit that after 5 years, according to the law, but in practice it will be 6 to 7 years, it will grant you the citizenship. But, and this is one of the most common questions, with the D type of visa, you are also entitled to the citizenship. So the big question here is, do I want to move to Portugal If I want to move to Portugal, I will go for a D type of visa, which is the ones that we are going through today. If I don't want to move to Portugal, but I still want to have the Portuguese citizenship, then I go for the golden visa, which is an investment route to achieve the citizenship. Having this said, we are going to start to talk a little bit about the D2 visas. Okay, so the D2, the most common is the entrepreneurial visa. And I say the most common because the D2, we have 3 different types. If you are an independent freelancer worker, such as an artist, a musician, if you start a business in Portugal, and this one is the most common, and if you have entrepreneurial projects that are innovated, this is also another type of D2 visa. But for this one is the startup visa. You need to find investors in Portugal and an incubator to issue a startup document. So with this visa, you need to incorporate a company in Portugal before actually applying for the visa. And this is the most complicated visa of the 3 different types I'm going to explain you today, because it is complex. You need to start a company in Portugal without actually being able to move to Portugal. You need to start having expenses with this company and incorporating and opening bank accounts and really make some investments. And only with that, you can apply for your visa after showing that you already invested in the company. Another important thing to keep in mind is that you should have, it helps for this visa to be approved if you have an historical entrepreneur history background. Because if you just come and say, I want to make this business out of the blue, maybe they will think that you are only incorporating this company to have the visa. And this is not what the government intends. So if you are already an entrepreneur at your hometown or somewhere else, and if you have a good business plan to explain to the Portuguese authorities what you want to do with your business, your chances for the D2 to be approved are higher. According to the law, there isn't a minimum amount that you should invest in Portugal in a company, but I tell you by experience that the consulates are not going to look at your process if it is below 5,000 euros. And also, the investment needs to make sense according to the business plan. If you have a business plan where you say that you are going to invest 100K in Portugal, it doesn't make sense to open a company with only 5K. So this needs to be consistent and needs to be explained to the Portuguese authorities in order to have your D2 visa approved. All these visas, the D2, the D7, and the D8 visas that I'm going to tell you about today, all these visas, they have something in common. They are only good for 4 months. And in those 4 months, you need to change them into a residency permit. And that residency permit, it's going to be granted for 2 years. And after 2 years, you need to renew it. And then you will have a residency permit for 3 years. After these 5 years, you can renew for another 5 years, or you can choose to apply for the citizenship. So this is for all the residency visas. Then we have the D7 visa, which also has different types. It's for retired citizens, for foreign citizens that live with passive income, and for religious people that want to come to religious purpose to Portugal. But of course, that's the main public that we have, and the main applications for D7 visas that we take care are for retired citizens and for people that live with passive income. Please notice that you don't need to be retired to apply for this visa. And this is one of the most misconceptions that people do make. You can have 35, 40 years old, as long as you have your passive income based on dividends, on royalties, on rents from properties that you own, you can apply for the D7 visa. And the D7 visa is a more straightforward process than the D2, which is a more complex, and it requires more investments. With the D7 visa, the examples of passive income that I already told you, interests, dividends, royalties, pensions, and you need to show that you have some savings also. And this passive income needs to be equal or more than the Portuguese minimum salary, which is at this date that we are talking, 820 euros. So to apply for this visa, you need to show that you have passive income that is equal or above 820 euros, and you need to show that you have savings like minimum 1,500 euros, and you also need to show that you have savings in Portugal. This amount of savings are not in the law, but are the ones required by our experience. And why? 20,000 euros is the number of salaries that you will need for the first 2 years of your residency permit. So these 20,000 euros of savings that you need to show you have in a bank account in Portugal are going to be more or less 24 Portuguese minimum wages.
And Gilda, does that include state pensions? So if somebody's moving from the UK, the current full state pension is £11,500, so that's what, 13,000 euros. Can you use that as your passive income?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Of course.
Interesting. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then we have this is a quite new visa. It has like 2 years old in our migration law. That is the D8 visa, which is for people that have a professional activity that can be done remotely. Okay, also called the digital nomad visa. But this digital nomad visa, this name doesn't make a lot of sense because you don't need to work in IT or to be a nomad. Actually, you cannot be a nomad because with the residency visa, you have a minimum staying in the country, okay? With the D2, D7, and D8, you need, in order to get the renewal after 2 years, you need to stay in the first 2 years the other way around. You can't stay out of Portugal in the first 2 years more than 6 months in a row or 8 months if interpolated. And this rule is very important for any D type of visas, okay? This rule doesn't apply for the golden visa. That's why I told you in the beginning that there is a difference to apply for a visa if you want to live in Portugal, and to apply for a golden visa if you don't want to live in Portugal, but you still want to have a Portuguese citizenship. There are, of course.
Can I just clarify what you said there? So for the D8 visa, the digital nomad visa, you have to stay more than 6 months in country. Is that correct?
No.
I've got that the wrong way around.
Yes, actually, it's for the D2, the D7, and the D8. You can't stay out of Portugal more than 6 months in a row or 8 months interpolated in 2 years.
Okay. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
so basically you become a tax resident of Portugal.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
Any type of these visas that are considered residency visas, automatically you become a tax resident when you have your residency card. And why is that? Because once you apply for this type of visa and then you apply for the residency permit, the tax authorities assume that you are living in Portugal because you need to comply with the minimum staying in Portugal. That's why some people ask, Gilda, I want a D7, but I don't want to become a tax resident in Portugal. That is not possible.
I get asked that a lot from a lot of my clients in the Middle East, in Dubai particularly, ask me that question.
No, it's not possible. Okay, because if you have this rule of the minimum staying to keep your residency permit, it means that you are going to stay for more than 6 months in Portugal. Yeah. So you need to become a tax resident in Portugal.
Right.
Okay,
brilliant. Okay. I have a couple of questions connected to the D2 visa.
Okay.
One was from a Mr. Hassan, but I think you've just answered it. And it was asking whether you become a tax resident. So that's what we've just covered. So a D2 application, you then are filing taxes. Now, taxes in Portugal are on global income. Is that correct?
Yes, on your global income.
Okay, so that's one thing. I have another question from a lady in the US, actually, regarding healthcare. So if they apply for the D7 visa, they have passive income. That's no problem at all, and all the minimums. Do they have to, because it's similar in Spain, do they have to take out like a private insurance for perhaps the first year, or do they go straight onto the state system? How does that work?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. And also, once again, it applies to the D7, the D8, and the D2. That's why this webinar, in my opinion, it's very rich and very important because it covers all the D-type visas that have many things in common, okay? So one of the things about the residency visas is that you will need a travel insurance while getting the visa, okay? Once your visa is granted and you come to Portugal, you are going to have like 3-4 months. Actually, nowadays can be between 3 to 6 months to have your meeting with the migration authorities, which is now called EIMA. When you have this meeting, you need to show them that you have a private health insurance. Okay? But once your residency permit is issued, you can go with the residency permit and ask for an enrollment with the Portuguese public health care.
Okay. And that kind of leads me on to another question. You mentioned there, Ima, there's lots of media attention about the huge backlog of applications. I saw something like 200,000-300,000 bits or transactions were going on. applying for a D series visa, is that quicker than, for example, a golden visa?
Yes, it is quicker,
Okay.
unless something goes wrong. And I'm going to explain you why. 80% of the times when D type of visa is issued, it is coming with a link that already has the date of your appointment with IMA. And if this happens, you are not going to have any backlogs. Okay, everything is going to be straightforward. Sometimes when the visa is issued and the system is down, is not working, they will issue the visa, but it will come out without a date of an appointment. And in this case, you might face some problems. Why? Because if you don't have an appointment, you need to come to Portugal with your visa, and you need to wait in Portugal for an appointment. And in these days, it's not easy to get an appointment, even if you have a visa.
Okay.
So this can be a problem. The Portuguese authorities have made some rule that they will extend your visa automatically until the end of June 2025. However, with this extension is only valid for you to stay in Portugal until you get your appointment and get your residency permit. But it doesn't allow you to circulate in the Schengen area or go to another countries, because then you may have face problems while trying to get in.
Yeah. Okay. So it's still a little bit difficult, but in summary, the D series visas is easier and better. Obviously, if you take professional advice from your company.
Yes, we try to simplify it and make it easier for everyone.
Brilliant. Okay, that is really good. Thank you very much. Is there anything else you want to add? I've just got one.
Yeah, I just want to finish about the D8.
Sorry, please. Yes, I'm interrupting.
Because I didn't finish this one. So the D8 is for people that want to do some that want and are able to provide remote work. Okay, but in this case, the Portuguese law asks for 4 times the Portuguese minimum wage. So you need to prove that your income, the income that you can get remotely, is actually equal or superior to 3,280 euros. So this is a kind of visa that it's more restricted, because not everyone is able to make this amount per month. And also, you need to prove that your employer will allow you to work from Portugal. So the consulate will ask a statement from your employer saying that you are able to work from Portugal. This is very important. And also, you need to prove that you have tax residency out of Portugal when you are applying for the visa. Of course, that this is going to change once you have a visa and once you move to Portugal. And then another important issue that is equal to all these type of visas is how to bring your family along with you. This is quite new in the law also, and this is very good news for everyone, because before this change on the law, you had to come to Portugal. The main applicant had to come to Portugal, and only after he had the residency, he could apply for the family reunion. Now we have this residency visa for accompanying a family member, which makes everything easier. So when you file your process, your D type of visa process, you can file your families also. Okay, your spouses, the minors, the adopted minors, dependents, if they are if you have someone that depends financially on you, and also with if you prove civil partnership. This makes things a lot easier than they were before. Usually, as I told you, the goal for applying for these visas is not only living in Portugal and moving to Portugal, but also to get the Portuguese nationality. And now, Robin, it's up to you. Some more questions?
Thank you. Yes, I mean, we've covered off most of them, so that's really good. Thank you very, very much. I've learned something as well today, so that's fantastic. We covered off the minimum stay. That was a question as well. Yeah, there's one little question there about the D8 one, the D8 visa is can you be self-employed, or do you have to be employed?
You can be self-employed. You can be self-employed, but if you are self-employed, you need to show at least the last bank statements from the last 3 months, showing that your income as an independent service provider is superior to that figure that we talked about, 3,280 euros.
And again, from your summary, that looks like it was aimed at people who are kind of generating money overseas, shall we say? I mean, even, like my industry where, we have clients all over the world, but want to live in Portugal, I guess.
Yes, and I must say that this D8 type of visa is most requested for people, couples between 50s and 40s that choose Portugal to have children, or that they come with small children to try to grow a family here. And why is that? And this happens a lot, and the D8 is very how should I say, very appreciated for this type of families, because Portugal is a very family-oriented country. And we Portuguese, I can talk because I'm Portuguese. We have this, everything is about family. On the weekends, all the families together. We have a lot of respect for our grandparents and other elder people, and also our security here in Portugal. As you know, we are talking about one of the safest countries in the world. And this makes very attractive to young couples to come to Portugal, because their kids, and they tell me this many times, my kids can go to school walking, they can take the bus, they can take the train, and they can't do this in other countries. Definitely. And so they feel safe, they are family oriented. And also the public health system, of course, like everywhere, it has its problems, but it still works pretty well, and it's very affordable.
Yeah. I absolutely agree with you, and especially the things about, perhaps it's not old-fashioned, I think it's the new fashion, but the respect for people and the courtesy. And I mean, I'm biased. I've been to Portugal probably 12 times in the last 2 years. It's nice and easy for me. I can throw the stuff in the car, but we go there because the hospitality is good. The kind of culture is welcoming. So yeah, absolutely agree with that 100%.
Yes, and don't forget. Sorry to interrupt, Robin.
No.
Don't forget that many of our clients they are retired. And when they choose Portugal to live, They choose it because it's calmer and it's supposed to be the quietest years of their life.
Yeah.
Are going to be the last ones. And they choose this very consciously. And they say, I want Portugal because in Portugal, when I went to visit, I felt I was very respected. And people here do help older people, like with the groceries, with everything.
Yeah.
So for these people that come from countries that almost no one says good morning to anyone, and you don't know your neighbors, they found in Portugal a very cozy place for them to stay and to stay for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, I've got a message here from Sabina, who's traveling to Portugal soon. She's really asking, what are the places, retirement places in the country? But I mean, from my experience, it's down to your personal, your personal options, really. So you've got beautiful green areas in the north and towards Porto. You've got Lisbon, where you've got cafes and bars and restaurants and concerts, and you go all the way down to to the Algarve, and you've got things from Portimao across to Almansil and the Golden Triangle, and $1 million homes. So it's really entirely up to you. I think if you,
Sabina, it will depend. It will depend on what you like. But we also have this service where we give counseling to people that don't know where they want to live. Because it depends on the nationality, if there are communities of this nationality over there, or if there are more active things that people want to do, because sometimes people don't know where to start, like Sabrina. And if you talk with someone that is used to relocate people, it's easier for you.
Yeah, yeah. And I must point out as well, and that for the people that are watching this, whether it's live or on the recording or on the YouTube, I was introduced to Gilda from my boss, who used your company and your services. So it's a personal recommendation. He brought his family over from the US. He's a seasoned expat, having lived in Asia as well. I think what the important message from all this, and just to kind of wrap it up, is that if you are packing up now or wanting to move in the next 6 months and live in Portugal, it's the D series. Contact us, reach out. Gilda and their team will be able to assist. I also have to ask a question. Do you have any men working in your practice? Because I can only see ladies.
Well, we used to be only ladies, but now we have Pedro. It's our recent hiring. So it's a boy. We decided we should give it a try.
Excellent. So yeah, so if you're ready to go now, D series, get in contact with us. We can help you with that. In terms of where myself comes in and working with Gilda, is that we can help you with cross-border tax planning, investments, pensions. If you're coming from the US, we have a team that work with our US clients as well to make sure you've got all your kind of ducks in a row. If you are planning ahead, you're looking at 2-3 years and there's no rush, golden visa is the route for you. If you don't want to live in country, you don't want to become tax resident.
Yes, and one other important thing is that these rules about visas, they change a lot. They are always changing, and different consulates apply different rules despite the law being the same. So it's very important for you to get professional advisor. Otherwise, you can lose a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of patience.
Great advice. Yeah, really good advice. Gilda, thank you very much for your time today, and all your expertise and your knowledge, and say hello to the rest of the team for me. And thank you very much.
Thank
And
you for the
to all our, yeah,
opportunity.
to all our people joining and watching, great to have you on board. So thank you very much.